We're putting violence down. Stand up, we getting money now. Stand up, let me show you how. As you will teach them, we about to teach them. If you rise and I rise, then we rise. If you rise and I rise, then we rise. If you rise and I rise, then we rise. The hood gon' do it big, stand up now. Welcome to the Stand Up Now Show, special community update edition. We have a lot of special guests on today's show, and we're going to be bringing in some very special students as well, young leaders in the community, very special talents, a lot of special gifts. So we want to share all these things with you, the public, and let you know what's on our mind from a young perspective. So stay tuned as we return with the Stand Up Now Show.
Check out this message from Stand Up Now.
Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Hey man, that's a nice story, man.
Bro, take that phone real quick.
Hey, I can't take it. It's selling.
Man, stop being a wimp. Go get the phone.
Okay, man.
Oh, bro, look, you got a camera. Oh, that was relaxing. Hey, where'd my phone go? Who's got my phone?
Hey, look on the button.
Yeah, remember? Hey, that's my phone.
Hey man, I want Eddie, bro. Ow!
Don't fall for peer pressure.
Stand up now! Welcome back to the Stand Up Now Show. As I promised to you earlier, we have some very special guests. Our first guest today will be Dr. Jessie Ramey. And we're going to learn some very, very exciting things about what she and her organization is doing in the community as it relates to educational justice. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kent. I'm delighted to be here.
We're delighted to have you. We know that you're involved in some very exciting things in the community. In fact, I attended a very huge rally that you and so many other organizations had came together to conduct in East Liberty at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater. And that was extremely exciting. I mean, you just had just a very diverse range of participants. The audience just filled the space to the rafters, and the information that was given and the responses that were received was very outstanding. We'd like for you to talk a little bit about that, but before we even get to that, tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization.
Sure. Well, you're talking about the Rally for Public Education, so I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. That we had this year, we had one last year too. And when I say we, I'm talking about Yinzercation, which is really a grassroots movement of public education advocates. We're all volunteer parents, students, teachers, and community members who really care about quality public education. And I come to this as a Pittsburgh public parent. I'm the parent of 2 students here in the Pittsburgh Public Schools. And I'm also a historian. I teach history at the University of Pittsburgh. And I really have studied working class families and social policy. So I'm interested in this sort of from my own scholarly background. And then when we started fighting the state budget battle last year, we discovered there were lots of people out there ready to fight with us. So there's quite a large coalition of groups that have come together. And Yinzercation is actually the name of my blog. And it comes from Yinzer Nation and education, and we put those words together and got Yinzercation. So that's where the movement really came from. This education movement really started 2 years ago when Governor Corbett cut $1 billion from public schools here in Pennsylvania.
Yes, that was in the news. It was a big thing.
It was. And the impact on our schools has been devastating. He locked those cuts in again last year, so now our kids are missing about $2 billion. And we've lost, as a result, 20,000 teachers here in the state of Pennsylvania over the last 2 years. And we've had devastating program cuts. So our kids have lost art, music, library, tutoring programs. Just about everything you can imagine has been cut to the bone and beyond. So the impact on our schools has been really dramatic and very devastating.
Incredible.
So we've been fighting that budget battle, and as we've started to fight that budget battle over the last 2 years, we've realized that there are many, many other issues going on in public education, a lot of policy issues, both at the federal and at the state and at the local level. So this movement has really grown in response to all of that.
Yes, indeed. What's happening with this year's state budget cut?
Well, this year the governor has proposed putting about $90 million back into the education budget for our schools, which is, I will never argue about putting money back into the budget, but $90 million is actually a very small drop in the bucket compared to what he took out.
Yes.
So we're still missing $2 billion. And those cuts have actually disproportionately hit our poorest students and our poorest districts the hardest. So school districts like the city of Pittsburgh have actually lost more money than our wealthiest districts because our state is using a very unfair funding formula to distribute that money. So when I talk about policies, that's one of the issues that we're really up against right now, is trying to fight to get a fair funding formula put back in place. So if the governor does put $90 million back in our schools, it's distributed fairly, because right now it won't be distributed fairly.
What has been the reaction to all this information that's publicly known now? So how are the families reacting to this? And even more importantly, how are the youth reacting to this, the students? What do they feel about it?
Well, the more students I talk to, I was just talking briefly to some students here today, and we have lots of students who've been involved in the education advocacy movement here in Pittsburgh and throughout Pennsylvania. It's an absolutely wonderful thing to see youth engagement in this issue. And when the students talk, adults listen. So when our students go to Harrisburg and talk to their legislators, our legislators listen. We know they do. Last year, some of my favorite things were some students who got together and actually created billboards and bus shelter ads, and they put these billboards up right in Harrisburg, right by the Capitol building, where all of our legislators and the governor had to see them. So they've had some absolutely tremendous impact on this, have made a lot of noise. We know that the legislators heard them. There's been a lot of pushback. This movement has grown very quickly, I think, as a result of all these voices coming together. And it's very grassroots. So these are all volunteers.
Oh, this is grassroots?
Absolutely grassroots. There's nobody being paid to organize this education movement. This is all volunteer, mostly parents and students, some teachers and community members, as I said, coming together.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know that there are plenty of things we need to talk about regarding this, and I know that many of our studio audience guests have many questions to ask you. Is it possible we can bring you back to the Stand Up Now show and definitely dig deeper into all these issues? They're extremely important.
Absolutely, I'd be delighted to.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Stand Up Now show. Let's give a round of applause for Dr. Jessie Ramey.
Hey, yo, what's up, Isaiah?
Yo, what's up, man?
What you listening to?
You know Eminem?
Hey, yo, you should let me see your MP3.
No, man, I'm already listening to it. Get your own.
Hey, yo, it's not gonna take it or nothing.
Man, if I let you see my MP3, you're going to go across town with it or something.
All right, how about this? Give me your MP3. I'm gonna crack you.
Yo, Mr. Cancel!
Yeah.
This guy's bullying me. He's just threatening to crack me in the face.
Hey, I ain't say no such thing, Mr. Kensel. You see, I wasn't bullying him or nothing. Me and Isaiah, you see, we bros.
You know, get your hands off of me, man.
Uh-huh.
Don't listen to him.
Let me tell you something, young man. Even though you say you weren't, you were still being a bully.
Don't bully.
Don't bully.
Be a sword. No matter who you are.
He gets it. How about you?
Stand up now!
Thank you. Welcome back to the Stand Up Now show. We have another very special guest, representative from University Preparatory School, Margaret Millian, City of Pittsburgh. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Miss Robin Jones.
Yes. Hello. Thanks for having me. Primarily what I wanted to talk to you today about is just the changes that we've had at University Prep And as a staff member that's been there since 2008 school year, when we started back up with just a 9th grade class and grown to a 6th to 12th grade school now.
By all means.
Yeah. So this year we started a partnership with Success Schools, which is based out of Philadelphia. And the whole purpose of that was to kind of change the school culture with the neighborhood schools closing last year and us being merged with Peabody. We saw a difference in the culture of the school. Not only were the students a little different, but it changed the morale of the staff. And so we wanted to try to see what we could do differently this year. So we partnered with Success Schools, along with 2 other schools in Pittsburgh Public Schools. That would be King and Faison. And what we do differently this year is that we focus on keeping the student in the school and having less time at home. Because as a counselor and as an administrator, you know, it becomes more of a reward system when you suspend a child, depending on the circumstances. There's very few, unfortunately, students that take suspension as a punishment. They take it as a free day. So we wanted to figure out how we could decrease the amount of out-of-school time that we had, because as a school we had a high rate for that last year. And part of the partnership is that we do what is called accountability with students. And so where it might be, you know, you would go home, it may be, okay, you're going to go with Ms. Jones and help her file some papers, or you're going to go help Mr. Omar, the custodian, clean up the table, something that will keep them in, but also help them understand that, you know, your importance to being here is important.
Well, there's a lot of things going on with each individual student. You know, they could be having problems at school, problems at home, problems in the community. How does that factor into all of these things that you're speaking about now? And what has the response been with students, if there has been a response, or even if anything's been done? Because you just can't just take one student and issue some type of punishment, and then take that same punishment and put it on another student. So how does that balance out? How do you deal with that? I mean, because all these students are on different levels. They have different problems. So how are you dealing with that?
So the key word is accountability. I don't want to say punishment because that sounds so punitive, but accountability, like I said, it could be different for a Cheryl than it is for Dakota. You know, if I know a student doesn't want to be kicked out of school, that might be, okay, well, you're going to go home and sit home with your dad. That might be all the punitive, punishment they need. Or I'm just going to have you write, or I'm going to have you speak in front of your class. It might be something that you know that's going to edge that student out of their shell, but get them to understand, like, what I did was not something that I want to ever be put in a position to do again. So that's why you have to have smaller learning communities, because it gives us more time to focus on our kids. I know the middle school kids and what this one likes. Some of them just like to, okay, do 20 jumping jacks. And they're like, that's all I got to do? You know, whereas if I said that to somebody else, he'd be falling apart crying. It's not, just call my mom. So I think it really depends on, you have to, snotting and crying on the ground,
okay.
But just, I mean, it takes a leader to know their students, and that's why we have not just the floor leader and the director, but teacher leaders as well, because I don't teach them all day long. So I might get them because they got in trouble, but that teacher, I'm blessed to know that a lot of our teachers are from the Hill District, so they're in the community and they know their students because those are their families as well. So I think that helps me, at least on my floor, I can say.
Yes.
But I do know that you can't, everything is not specific to or germane to each student. It's definitely different. You have to kind of, tweak it a little bit. But the main thing is that we keep them in school.
Yes.
We help them to understand that what they did was wrong, but now let's get past that. We don't want to focus on that too long, because sometimes that's what that child wants to be, the distractor in the class.
Okay.
So we teach the teachers to keep, working with your class. If that child is a distraction, you send them out. We do the accountability, they come back. Because the more time you're focusing on that negative behavior, is less time that the classroom is teaching, is less time that child is learning.
Wonderful. Round of applause for Robin Jones, everyone.
Do you know anyone doing great things in the community that we can feature on the Sun Spotlight? Email us at standupnownetwork@gmail.com or visit us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/standupnownetwork. And now for our featured Art of the Day pick on the Stand Up Now show.
He gives another smile, I can understand her side. To show that he cares, she can't stay in the room. She's consumed with everything that's been going on. She says, whatever happens, don't let go of my hand. Everything will be alright, he assures her. But she doesn't hear a word that he says. Preoccupied, she's afraid what they've been doing's not right. He doesn't know what to say, so he prays. Whatever, 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 whatever,
know what now? Millions in the folder, I'll show ya. Kill it with the beat. Break it down like this. Break it down like this. Gonna break it down like this. Break it down like this. I'm like, hold up, know what now? Millions in the folder, I'll show ya how. Thinking it's a soldier, I'm calling how. Got spinning over, lower. Chicken getting more bucks, dipping in the Porsche force. Got my head tripping in this Porsche truck, and I'm skeet spitting to absorb dust. I'm a star, she ain't trying to get abortions. I'm fresh, falling to the death. 3-point range, following my steps. Lear, plane, calling from a jet.
Pop my trunk and pop my, where them haters at, where them haters at, where them haters at, man.
Yeah, let's get some of that shit. Okay.
Welcome back to the Stand Up Now show. We have our other very special guests, wonderful people that we have here from an organization, grassroots organization called Action United. And I want to welcome you to the Stand Up Now show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And could you give us your names and tell us about your organization and what you're doing in the community?
Well, my name is Hazel Blackman, and I'm with Action United. Action United is a nonprofit organization. It's for low-income and moderate-income families. We fight injustice wherever it's at with schools.
Absolutely.
Anything that's injustice,
Absolutely.
we are there.
Thank you.
And I'm Bill Bartlett. I'm the Western Pennsylvania Regional Director for Action United, and I do whatever Hazel tells me.
Well, that's one easy way to handle that whole situation, because you definitely need leadership. So thank you for being a leader in the community. Okay. We know that we're undergoing a major educational justice campaign, and we wanted to connect with Action United and see what you guys are doing as far as education is concerned. We have a lot of inequities in the system right now. We need a lot of things that seem to be reformed. So to even start that off, I would like to know, do any of you have kids?
Want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I do have children, and I moved to Pittsburgh in 2002 because I was proud of the neighborhood that I moved into. Okay. And there was Catholic schools and the public school and the Head Start, and everything was there. It was perfect. The grocery store, everything was there in 2000 when I moved there. And at this time and now, there's no schools, there's no grocery store, the schools were all closed, and my one son, he goes to school, but he's not in the neighborhood anymore. I have one child left in school, but he's not in the neighborhood right now. Mm-hmm. And before the schools closed, I was out with the picket signs, don't close our schools, but this is what happened to my neighborhood. And Action United, they came along, and we've been fighting to get schools back in the neighborhood. We've been on the battlefield for a while now. I say, how long we been out there?
About a year.
About a year now, and we got some changes in our neighborhood, but we haven't got schools there yet.
Yes.
We got the school attention.
Yes, well, that was definitely the next question. Like, with the visible presence that Action United has had in the community, I've noticed Action United doing a lot of wonderful things. They participated in the rally that Yinzercation was part of at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater. That was a major rally for educational justice. So what is Action United doing as far as the educational justice is concerned within this region? What's going on with that? Or do you have some type of programming going on, some campaigning? What's happening there?
Mm-hmm. So I'll start that off. I want to underscore what Jessie had said earlier about the fact that what's happening here in Pittsburgh, we've got out of a big round of school closings in the past. Last year there was like 300 teachers. Somebody else has probably the proper exact number of layoffs that occurred, and you see the effects today. I mean, the kids' activities don't exist because they don't have faculty members, because the faculty members had to be laid off. These things, these things don't just happen in Pittsburgh. My son is in the Northgate School District. His school district just laid off a whole handful of teachers. My nephew goes to school up in Erie, in a public school district outside of Erie called Mill Creek, and they're looking to close 2 of their elementary schools, 2 out of 5 elementary schools. So this situation is going on across the state, but also across the nation. And the school districts are being starved of funding. the schools that, the neighborhoods and schools that get impacted the most, as was mentioned earlier, happen in predominantly low-income neighborhoods and communities of color. And so we are fighting this in coalition. This is something that needs to be handled by all facets of the community. And so we are proud partners in a coalition that's forming a good coalition of fighters. It's ourselves, Action United, Yinzercation, A+ Schools, the Pennsylvania Interfaith Impact Network, PIN, the Pennsylvania Federation, Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers, and the American Federation of Teachers, SEIU, AFSCME. I don't want to leave anyone out, but I mean, A+ Schools, yeah. There's a good coalition of strong fighters, people with a good record of fighting. That we basically have to say there can be no more school closings. And we've caught wind already that there's new school closings going to be suggested here in the next few months. And there should be no more school closings. That the school closings that when they do occur have serious impacts on our neighborhoods and our communities. So at the very least, they shouldn't occur until we have some real analysis of what those neighborhood impacts are.
Right.
Well, thank both of you for being here today. And we realize that these issues are very deep issues, and we really need to get more in depth with these topics here. And we want to get some of our young people to respond to that as well. The Stand Up Now Network, of course, is a youth-driven organization, and we have a number of youth leaders, and we're constantly recruiting more and more young people to address this whole educational justice movement or campaign. So thank you for being here today, and we hope to have you on again at another later date.
For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Action United. Message in the music. Use it.
A couple people graduating, but nobody smiling. A classmate's getting